Hi there! In this lesson, we are going to animate the building and also the conveyor belt using what we've learned in the previous lesson. But first, we are going to duplicate the stool. So, change the name of this to stool-based animation. Then, we are going to drag the stool while holding the Control key. After that, select the duplicate, right-click and choose Select Children. Now select all these keyframes and drag them a couple of frames while holding click. This way, we make a little offset for the second stool so that it doesn't animate at the same time as the first one. Perfect. In fact, drag the keyframes a little bit more. Duplicate again the stool and again click on Select Children. Select all the keyframes and drag them a little bit. Create another duplicate. Click on Select Children. And drag again the keyframes. If you've done this correctly, when you move on the timeline, you'll see that each stool moves at a different time. That makes the animation so much better. So now that we have this, group all the stools, selecting them by pressing Alt-G. This way we'll be able to move all the stools at once. Perfect. Change the name of the group to Animated Stools and then hide them. Alright. Let's focus first on the animation for the conveyor belt. So hide the building. Hide also these objects. Okay, and here we have the conveyor belt. We're going to use the same as we did with the stool, a plane. For now, we have the cloner, the rectangle spline, and these pieces of the conveyor. So guys, let's create first the plane. For that, go to MoGraph, Effector, and then Plane. This plane is already affecting the object. To fix this, we need to change the position on the y-axis to 0. Then select the cloner and go to the Effectors tab. You'll see that the plane is already included in the Effectors list. If this isn't the case, then select the cloner and then drag the plane to the Effectors list. That's it. This way, the plane will affect the cloner part. We are going to repeat the process that we've seen before. So go to File Off and change the shape to linear. Now, let's rotate it to see it begins to affect the conveyor belt. So guys, everything which is to the left of the center of the plane is not affected, and everything which is to the right is affected. So, select the plane and go to the Parameter tab, change the position to 0 and uncheck the position box. Then check the Scale box, also the Uniform Scale one, and change the scale to -1. Now, if we move the plane, everything that is behind the plane is being affected, and everything in front is not. So, position the plane at the end of the conveyor belt. Perfect. And now we are going to repeat the process. So, go to the frame 30, select the plane, and go to the Coordinates tab. We'll see that we need to move the position on the x-axis, so click on the button next to it. Then go to the frame 0 and move the plane to the other side until the entire conveyor belt is visible and create another keyframe. With this, we've animated the plane and the conveyor belt appears. I think that we can get a better effect using also the position on the plane. So, place it in the middle. I think that it may look good if we modify the position on the y-axis. Change it to -6 and look at the result. Check the rotation box too and change the value of the third one. See? I think this effect is better. However, the effect is not so visible, so extend the plane a bit. Or you can go to Fall Off and increase the value of the size. Increase it a little more, and because we've done this, we'll need to change the position of the plane on the first frame. So drag it to the left. Let's do this right. Press Ctrl-Z, drag the plane to the left, and then create a keyframe for the position on the x-axis. Perfect. We have our animation. In this case, the animation is inverted. To fix this, we need to move the first keyframe to the frame 30 and the second keyframe to the frame 0. We want the conveyor belt to appear, not disappear. Alright, perfect. Okay. And this would be the animation for the conveyor belt. But we are going to add something else to it. So let me turn on the building again. I want the conveyor belt to appear from the inside of the building and extend itself to both sides. Let me show you. It appears from the inside and extends. See? So go to the rectangular spline and look for the width in the properties. That's it. Click the button next to it in the frame 30. Then go to frame 0, narrow it down a lot. You can even set it to 0. Okay. So, let's see how the animation looks. Great! The conveyor belt expands nicely. It's cool, right? Now, we need to make the building appear. So, first, select the floor. Okay, apply a material to it quickly. So, having this floor, we are going to make the building appear from below it. Go to the frame 30 in the timeline. Now, let's make sure what coordinates we must change. It's the position on the y-axis, so click the button next to it to create a keyframe. Go to the frame 0 and lower the building until it's no longer visible, and create another keyframe. Now you can see how the building and the conveyor belt appear. However, we have to fix the animation of both the conveyor belt and the building. So, look here. As you can see, the conveyor belt is appearing from the walls of the building. So, let's move the keyframes for the building. Select the building and drag this keyframe to the left. I think that now the animation doesn't look so weird and the conveyor belt is not appearing from the walls. Let's take a look again at the animation. Okay, this is it. Okay, we wanted the conveyor belt to extend when the building has appeared. This is what we wanted. Great. Let's go with the curves now. We are going to see how we can modify the animation curves, which control the rhythm. This animation has a very simple curve, but we are going to improve it anyway. How are we going to do it? Right-click on the null that contains the building and then choose the option Show F-Curves. And a window like this will appear. In this case, as we've only animated the position, there's only one curve that you can see here on the screen. If we animated other properties, more curves would appear here. Okay, let me animate the position or another axis just to show you an example. Perfect. We have here another curve. We can delete it now as we don't need it. It was just an example. Perfect. Okay, let's begin with the curves. The curves control the rhythm of the animation regarding the position, the scale, the rotation, and the time. For example, if I modify the curve by moving it upwards, we'll see that a big change occurs in the animation. Let's leave the curve as it was before. So you can see this curve corresponds to the position on the y-axis, and the curve is smooth. So the movement of the building is smooth too. What we are going to do is to make the building go up faster. To do that, select the first keyframe, which is in the frame 0, and drag the curve upwards. You'll see that the building appears much quicker than before. Look, I advanced just one frame and almost half the building is already visible. See? So, these curves are necessary to tweak the rhythm of the animation. So let's leave the curve like this so that the building appears faster. And let's play the animation again. As you can see, the building appears fast, but the conveyor belt can't keep up. We need to fix this a bit, so drag the last keyframe to frame 30. Okay, the building comes up and then the conveyor belt extends. Let's keep improving this animation by tweaking the curve. I think that we should drag this part like this, and we should also drag this keyframe a little bit to the left. Let's see. Okay, we see that the conveyor belt is touching the walls again, so modify a bit this curve. There. Okay. Here it's perfect. So now you can see how the animation looks. We can also tweak the curve for the rectangle spline. As we animated that object, just right-click on the width attribute and go to Animation, Show F-Curve. This is another option to open this window. You'll see here that we have the curve for the rectangle. Let's see what we can do to improve this. Okay. Drag this curve like this. Okay. And now let's check how the animation changed. I think it would be better if the conveyor belt already appeared at this point. So let's go again to the curve and let's modify it according to what we need. Okay. Let's go back a little bit. Perfect. I think it's perfect. Okay, I think I'm going to change it. We just need to see what kind of curve we need. That's it. So these curves are very important for the rhythm of the animation of our scene. Perfect. At this point, the animation of the building has ended, so the animation of the conveyor belt should end at the same time too. Good. This animation is fine. Let's turn on the stools again to see our scene. Hit play, and it seems that the movement of the stools is too slow. As you can see, we are working with only 30 frames, so let's extend this to 60 frames and drag the timeline to the frame 60. Now select the stools, right-click and choose Select Children. Select all the keyframes that we have and drag this little bar to the frame 30. This way, all the keyframes will be within the first 30 frames. Okay, a little bit. Drag them a little bit more to the left. Perfect. Leave the animation again in 30 frames and preview it again. Perfect. Guys, this is how we've animated the building, the conveyor belt, and the stools. We are only going to rotate this gate, so let's see on which axis. Guys, the place where the axis point is located is very important because the object will rotate from that exact point, see? If we place it in the middle of the gate, it will rotate from that point, so we need it on the tip. Go to the rotation attribute and create a keyframe. Then, in this frame, rotate the gate so that it's closed and create another keyframe. It seems that we need the gate to be open earlier. So let's fix this by tweaking the curve. Select Children, okay, and then go to the coordinates, right-click on the rotation and go to Animation, Show F-Curve. Let's see where we should have the gate open already. Here, okay. So we have positioned our door, our gate. We can make a little bounce back. They are quite important, so try to make it look like the gate overshoots upwards a little bit. You'll see that the curve has changed, so we need to move it to where we need. Advance a couple of frames and leave the gate where it was. Okay, leave the curve like this. Perfect. As you can see, you have some flexibility with the curves, and you can even delete keyframes by pressing the delete key. That's it. So we have this little bounce back animation. This is just to have a smoother animation here. Okay, let's now animate these other objects. For example, this air conditioner. Go to this frame where we are going to change the position so that the object is inside the building. Create a keyframe here and another one at the frame 10. Go back to the first keyframe and move the objects inwards. Ready. Now, we are going to change these objects too. Animate them. So we are going to do this in a different way to learn something else. So we have these two cubes on the top of the building. And what we are going to do is create a keyframe for the position on the y-axis. Then press the second button, which is the auto keyframe. That means that if I move these objects before this point, a keyframe will be automatically created. So select both objects and move them inwards. See? A keyframe has been created, so this is another way to create animations. I like a more manual process in order to have more control. Done. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Yes, we have this animated. Right-click and go to Animation Delete Track. Rotate it. And perfect. Let's do the same with the cylinder. We are going to animate the scale, so we'll need to change the value on the y-axis. Create a keyframe, go back on the timeline and enter a value of 0. Create another keyframe. Can you see how the cylinder is appearing? Okay, let's animate now this part. Make sure that the axis point is located at the top of the object. Okay, create a keyframe for the scale on the y-axis and set axis. Go back on the timeline and change the scale for these two axes to 0. And now, this object will be gradually appearing. Can you see it? Perfect. Let's give it a bit rotation. Go to this frame and create a keyframe for the rotation. Go back on the timeline, modify the rotation and create another keyframe. And this is the result. These little details make the difference. Even though they are small, the animation improves a lot. See how it looks now? Much better. So guys, we have the building and the conveyor belt ready. We are going to keep working on other objects like the bicycle, the pots, and the dogs. So, hope you liked this lesson and see you in the next video.